Good day, everyone. This is another video that forms part of the computer programming course at Stellenbosch University, Computer Programming 143. And this is a quick getting started video for practical number 4 that you guys are going to do. The aim of this practical is to show a little bit more about, to teach you a little bit more about functions. So you guys will be looking at two examples in this practical, or two assignments, sorry. Question A, which you're going to write a few functions to show how variables are passed and how the calling stack works. So this is just going to get you into the swing of things. You're going to write these simple functions called add, subtract, and add. And yeah, so this shouldn't be a problem for you, but it's just to get you going. Okay, and we also have some recommended output over here. But question B, this is the one that I want to look at a little bit more in this getting started video. So what we have over here is we are going to develop functions in a program that will do unit conversions for us. So a pretty useful program to have. So what we're going to do is we are going to print out a menu that looks like this, conversion menu. It has these various options, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and X. And then if the user presses one of these, it's like, for example, A, in which the user says he wants to convert watt hour, WH, watt hour, to joules. Okay, so then the program prompts the user for the value, that's the watt hour, enters the value, and then it converts it into joules. The answer is then written out in joules. Then it prints out the conversion menu again. In this case, the user would, for example, choose D, which is converting centimeters into inches, enters a value for centimeter, and out pops the inches. Okay, and so on. So a couple of rules about the program, or guidelines, that you guys can read over here. All right, so we do provide you with some of the conversions over here, so you don't have to delve into Google or your textbooks or physics textbooks or so on. We are going to tell you that to convert watt hour to joule, basically what the functionality is of the function, it should convert watt hour to joule, and the inverse of that, joule to watt hour, should again convert the joule to watts hour, and this is the conversion that you guys can use. That is 1 joule is equal to 1 watt times 1 second. Okay, if you guys know that from physics, and so on. This is, for example, converting inches into centimeters. You can use this formula over here, horsepower to kilowatt, this, and so on. All right, so what I'm going to look at is just to get started with the whole menu, the selection structure, and then maybe one of the functions. I'm going to leave the fun of creating the other functions to you guys. All right. So, very important, ensure that your code is indented correctly and that the brackets, the braces are on the correct line. So this is very critical. If your code, as you can see, your code is starting to grow now, your programs are starting to get more complex. Also in preparation for the practical, for the project that's going to come at the end of this course, your code should be readable, not just by yourself, but also by others. Okay, so indentation and syntax, style and things like that is pretty critical. All right, so what we're going to do now is open our Eclipse environment. This is our Eclipse environment. Just want to move my PDF document elsewhere. All right, here we go. So now I'm going to just get started with this program. What am I going to do? Okay. Well, first off, I've got to create a C project. So I click here on Eclipse, new C project. Let's say this is Prac 4. We do tell you in the practical exactly what your naming convention should be. So mine is, don't follow mine, follow what is written in the prac. This is an empty project. Correct compiler selected, and I finish. Creates a new folder called prac. Make sure your other folders are closed. Right click on that and I add a new C source file, and I call it unit conversion.c. Okay, here is my program. Well, firstly, I'm going to include my standard libraries. Very important. And I'm going to then declare my function prototypes. You guys are going to have a lot of function prototypes for each of the functions displayed in the menu, but I'm just going to watt hour to joule. I'm going to show you this one. Converting watt hours to joules. So what is it taking? It's taking the function name is watt hour to joule, pretty descriptive of what it should be doing, and it takes in a double called watt hour, and it also then returns a value, which essentially is the joule value. All right. You add, I'm going to say, add the other function prototypes here. Okay, now let's get started with main. My main looks like this. I'm going to return 0. And as I said to you guys, I always like to print, well, this isn't just me, but always print out at the end, right before you return, print out some indication that your program is finished. Why is that useful? Because if you have complicated code over here, and you get stuck there for some reason, an infinite loop or something like that, you know that this value is you can identify those type of cases, seeing that this line hasn't been printed out. Or alternatively, if this line is printed out, you know your program finished. Okay, so it just helps a little bit with program flow. Now, okay, I need some form of user input, okay, because I'm going to have a menu. And now, if you look at the project description, you're going to use menu items labeled A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so on. Okay, so my option has to be of type character, char, okay? And this is what the user is going to select in my menu. So user selected option. Obviously, it's going to input a value, so let's declare a value here. This is the value that is to be converted. Okay, and that's it for now. All right, so let's printf our menu. I'm going to say this is the conversion menu. And remember, I'm just getting you started on this. I'm not going to include all the menu items now, just basically one of them so that you can get started. All right, so the first one is option A, and I'm going to use the tab specifier to make my code nice and neat. Watt hour to joule. Okay, and I'm going to create a new line. Okay, so that's my first one, and let's say my option B is my joule to watt hour. Okay, and I also want to have it nicely separated from this digit over here, or from the menu item over here. So I use the tab specifier for that. This is just for formatting. Okay, and finally, now you're going to have more options: A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and finally X for exit. Okay, so let's add our X as well. Okay, so our X would be around here. Our X would be something like this. Okay, now that's the first take on the menu, but before we can, let's see what it looks like. Remember, I told you don't write everything and then in the end compile and find out you've got numerous bugs. It helps to do things a little bit incrementally so that you have incremental pieces of functional code. Okay, so like here, for example, I've got this error. This standard I is spelled wrong, so it's useful to see that. Let's build it again. Okay, this is fine. We have a couple of unused variables. for example, value and option, that's fine. I just want to see what my menu looks like at the moment. So I'm going to run my, let's run it. See what's it running. It's okay. Let's build it again. Okay, run. Okay, there it's running. Okay, it's more or less alright, not entirely. There's a little bit of spaces over here that I want to get out. Why is that? It's because there's a space after the new line. Can maybe do it like this. So this is just formatting stuff. I'm not going to focus too much on that. From one of the previous practicals, you guys should probably have also written a menu for display. So something like this would be nice. All right, so A, B, and X is going to exit. You guys in the practical assignment have many more, but this is what I have. So this is the finished displayed here at the bottom. Okay, so I'm printing my menu. Now I've got to read in my option. So I'm going to say, okay, printf, we've got to prompt the user to enter something. Okay, and this is selected, select a valid option. Okay, and the user, we're going to read that value from the user, right? So we're reading a character, so that's %C, and this is my option, like that, hey? Okay. What is the matter over here? Oh, it's this price. Okay. Again, I can compile this part of my program, and I would like to run it. Okay, now it's running. Ah, I forgot to print my set buff over here. Remember, the set buff is very useful because if you miss that, Eclipse sometimes, it fixes Eclipse for the printf statement. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to print it, we're going to put it around here, set buff, standard out 0. Okay, let's build it again. Okay, it's building. Oh, but now I've got this issue over here, which permission desired. Usually when I've got something like that, I can start my task manager. Just see where it is. Okay, so I found my process over here, so it's very useful. You open the task manager. I found my prac4.exe. I'm going to end that process. This is sometimes just a workaround, and also good to show you guys that if you see this type of permission denied error, which happens in this case, I forgot the set buff, so Eclipse didn't like the output so much. Then open your task manager and kill that particular process. So let's compile it again and see whether it's working. So compile it again. Yeah, looks okay, and I run it. Okay, now I've got my menu, and I'm prompting the user to enter something. It's not going to do anything. It's just going to finish because we're not parsing, we're not analyzing that option. Okay, so that's our next step now. How are we going to analyze this option? Because we've got to call a function depending on what the user said. So we're going to say determine whether the, we're going to say parse the user choice, call the related function, or exit. Okay, so, and we're going to continue with this using a while loop, and we're going to see if the user has not pressed X, then we should continue reading instructions from him. Okay, so that is what it looks like. Now we've got many options. Okay, we've got A to option A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and X. Now we can use an if and else if statements and so on, but that's not going to be a very neat way to do it. What would look neater, as you guys have learned now in the lectures? A switch statement would work very nicely over here. So we're going to see switch the case to investigate valid input. Okay, so let's now switch. And what are we going to switch? This variable option. So switch option. Okay. Over here. This is case A. And remember your indentation, please. As you can see, I'm using my brackets over here and over here. Maybe we can do it like that. So in all cases, I'm indenting my code nicely so that I know what's going on. Okay, as you can see here, so the user has selected option A. Now we're going to ask the user for the value. Okay, this is now the value. Option A is converting watt hours to joules. So we're going to ask the user for the watt hour. So prompt the user to do that. Enter the value watt hour. Okay, and this is something like this. Scan now, and we scan this, and we're scanning a double. Remember that in value, because that's what we declared over here. We're going to store that value there in that double. So we're going to scan F, and remember your conversion specifier LF, and this goes into value. All right. Oh, there's an issue. Okay, so I've got that. Now we're going to say printf your answer is, in terms of joule, how much? What is the answer? Well, it's going to be a double value, so that amount. But what is it going to be? It's going to be, we're going to want to call to calculate it, we need to call our function watt hour to joule, like that, value. Right, so we've got, and we're missing a semicolon over here. Okay, so I need to call my function watt hour to joule that we're going to develop now to calculate my answer and then print it over here. And then when I'm finished with that, I'm going to break out. Okay. Case B. We've got to develop, and so on. Case C and so on. But what happens to case X? Okay, so we've got our cases over here. As I said, we've got case A, case B. You need to write this all the way down to case, I think it is, I'll see, check now in the specification. And be careful with the copy and pasting. I'm doing it now, but it's in general a very dangerous thing to do, because you forget to change something and then that can cause a significant amount of issues in your code. But we're going to be careful. So this is case E. And what you can also do even is you can printf here, case B to be developed, right? Or case B, let's call it something fun like coming soon. All right. Let's see over here. Case C is coming soon. Case D is coming soon. case E is coming soon. And then I've got two more cases to add, or that you're going to add. This is case A, B, C, D, E, F, like that, and case G. Okay, so that is all my cases that the user can select to do conversions with. And then remember, let's just fix this. E, this is F, this is G. Okay, now, so let's look at it again. I'm just going, as I said, we're just going to develop case A here in the getting start. So the option, while the option is equal to, ooh, but there I made a very dangerous error. That is not an assignment. This is a not equals x. So while my option is not equal to the x, so while the user is not selected to exit, switch the option. That is, look, if it's case A, we convert watt hours to joules. If it's case B, do something. Case C, do something. D, E, F, and G. And in this case, this do something is just print this line out. Okay, we break. You're going to obviously develop the functions in line with what the practical says. So now the user pressed X, but X isn't listed here in the case statement. That's because we need to if you finish processing one of these, so say he's pressed A, then and is finished processing the watt hour to joule conversion, then it's got to print out the menu again and read another entry. And then it jumps back to the while loop at the beginning and tests, is that option? If that option is X, that means this while will terminate. Okay, so let's print out our menu again. It's that code that we're going to put in here, which we're going to read. Let's print out everything. This as well. Okay. Then we finish and we return. Okay. Let's compile our program. So if I compile it now, it won't work. Why? Because if I look at the compiler output, I've got here on this file, unit conversion.c, line 41. Let's go to line 41. It's over here. It says undefined reference to this function. So that means that this function have been defined, yes, correct, but it's not been implemented. There isn't, it's not implemented over here. So I'm going to implement it at the bottom. I'm going to say this is my function definitions. Remember at the top here of the program, you have your function prototypes. So now under our main over here, we've got our function definition. So our function definition, let's take this exact same prototype that we've used over here. So we're going to take this prototype. There we go. I'm going to put it over here like that. And I am going to develop it. So what should it return? So if you have a watt hour coming in, you need to convert that into joules. So what did we learn from the document and also from physics? 1 joule is equal to 1 watt times 1 second. Okay, so if we have hours coming in, what is that? So 1 joule is equal to 1 watt times 1, or yeah, okay, let's return the value here. So watt hour, which is our watt hour over here, times, we need to convert the hour component to seconds. So we do that by times 60 to get it to minutes, times 60 to get it to seconds, and that should work. This is what we're going to return. And remember this decimal value over here, right? Okay. Let's compile our program now. As you can see, it compiled without problem. Let's run it. Okay, so this is our menu. So now I'm going to select, let's test it a bit. Let's select X first. Okay, program stops, which is expected. Now let's select option B. It prints out case B is coming soon, and it prints the menu again. Excellent. So let's print out A. Okay, now enter the value for watt hour. How much watt hour do I have? Well, 1 watt hour. Let's test it first with a 1. I'm expecting 60 times 60 back, which is 3,600 joules. Exactly. And it prints the menu again, and so on. All right. So that's more or less a wrap from my side, just to get you going with the practical. Please look through this. Important, as I said, this is a framework, a getting started framework that you can use for this. Remember to indent your code neatly, and please remember to ask questions if you don't understand, because yeah, so all right, enjoy the practical.